Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Role Models podcast, filmed at Authentic Collectables HQ in Perth, Western Australia. My name is Andrew van Leeuwen. I'm the editorial director at Speedcafe, and I'm joined, as always, by William Hall, who is the big boss of Authentic Collectables.
Wouldn't necessarily go that far, but yeah.
How are you today, Will?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
Big weekend in Melbourne?
Oh, yeah. So still a little bit of recovery going on, but no, not too bad. Not too bad.
I
Only
know,
a little bit dusty.
I know the feeling. Thanks to everyone for the feedback on our last episode, episode 2. I've actually bumped into a couple of role model fans out and about in the last couple of weeks. One at the Speedway. There were some people at the Grand Prix. So it's good to know that people are out there are enjoying the pod.
Well, I mean, now you're an accomplished author of a unauthorised book.
Yeah.
You've got some fans around town, haven't you?
I wouldn't quite go that far, but sure, whatever. Let's anyway.
No kissing babies, signing babies.
Be quiet, Will. So let's just talk about the code word for a second. Make sure you keep an eye out for the code word on your screen during this episode for your chance to win a $250 gift card to the Authentic Collectables store. The winner of the episode 2 code word was Mr. Titel. We will be in touch in the next few days. Now, remember, if you are listening to this as a podcast, if you want to have a chance at winning that $250, you're just going to have to jump on the YouTube, have a bit of a scan and comment with your most creative use of the code word. And yeah, the one that we like the best will win the gift card.
Wins the voucher.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's have a chat about some recent announcements. What have you got for us, Will?
So it's been a reasonably big month from announcements point of view. We've announced our range of 2024 supercars.
Wow.
So a reasonably large list of announcements when you think about the 20-odd cars that we replicate. So obviously in the first episode, we sort of alluded to the fact that Brad Jones Racing is back in the family, as it were. So effectively, we've got every team in pit lane except Triple Eight, because
they don't win that much anyway, so I wouldn't worry about that.
No, that's exactly right. We have had a few issues with Tickford, as we've sort of publicly stated a few times, particularly around Cam Waters' car. So we're just working through some things with them.
Well,
particularly
what's
with
going on there? What are you going to have from?
Well, in theory, we can only make the Randall car anyway. Can't effectively with Monster and the licensing issues with Monster worldwide. It's not just it's just an Authentic or a Tickford thing. It's a Monster issue globally, where they just aren't interested effectively in model car land. So that sort of affects us from that perspective. But that sort of has had a little bit of a knock-on effect. So we're just working with Tickford through working on the Randall car and what have you. So that one's not on the announcement list right at this point. There should be 21 cars that we announce, but it's only 20 so far. But hopefully we can catch up with the Randall car in a not too distant future.
So what else are we missing then? If it's 21 cars, there's 24 in total.
Yeah. So then 22 would be Waters.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
and then that other team up in Queensland that we don't speak about.
21. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. The maths checks out.
Thank you very much.
For a second, I couldn't quite make sense of it, but that does make sense.
That's why I run the business and you're the journo, I guess.
That's why I write words and don't deal with numbers.
Correct.
At all.
Correct. The other car that we did announce, though,
Yep.
because just to throw your numbers off completely, is Gunter's car from the Adelaide Motorsport Festival.
Well, that's a good shout.
So technically a Courtney car,
yeah,
I guess, rather than a Gunter car.
Yeah.
But yes, the Ford Performance livery. That
was a cool looking car.
Yeah, that Courtney had at the Adelaide Motorsport Festival where he took Gunter for a bit of a joyride.
Yep.
We've announced that one as well in our first range of announcements.
I told you it was more than 21 cars.
Yeah.
I told you. I was right all along.
You sniffed that one out.
Yeah, exactly. So how do people put pre-orders in for these things? What's the go to get your hands on your favourite 2024 supercar?
So effectively there's two ways. First way is to obviously go to your nearest Authentic Collectables stockist, place your pre-order with them, and as soon as they land, they'll be in store. You go walk in and grab them, or you can register your interest on our website. So go to our website, find the car that you're interested in, or all of the cars that you're interested in. On the right-hand side of screen, there's a register your interest button. Click on that, whack in your email address. We tell you when they arrive. You go to our website and buy it.
Are you going to do a SpongeBob SquarePants car?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of in our second range of announcements. There's actually going to be quite a few cool looking liveries on that car, I think, this year. Wasn't just SpongeBob. I think there's a few more that are coming along. So yeah, if you're a fan of Macca and you're a fan of Pizza Hut, or just a fan of pizza, or a fan of SpongeBob, there could be a few cars in the queue for you this year.
Perfect.
Speedcafe.com, your number one motorsport source for all the latest motorsport news and features. Breaking news, exclusive interviews, unprecedented global motorsport coverage, live event updates, performance motoring news, and video features all in the palm of your hand, anywhere, anytime at speedcafe.com.
As we touched on at the top of the show, we were both over in Melbourne last week for the Australian Grand Prix. I mean, just what a massive event that thing has become. I mean, Drive to Survive, post-COVID, people just wanting to get out and do things. Like every year since 2022, it's just got that little bit bigger. 452,000 people through the gate.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just
it's
ridiculous.
Crazy.
I'm sure plenty of you can share our pain of trying to catch trams and what have you around Melbourne. Trying to pack their luggage into
storage lockers.
I heard you say the other day. Like just utter madness.
Yeah, it is just
such a cool event.
It's incredible. It really has become, one of the biggest and best in Australia. It's, we've again have discussed this before, but it was always about trying to get the event away from the AFL season and this and that. Whereas now I think the AFL probably feels an uplift from having that many people in town and all that sort of stuff. It's just really grown into a massive thing. A big talking point going into the weekend was the future of supercars at Albert Park and at the Australian Grand Prix. To be honest, it really felt pretty bleak. There was a lot of pessimism about the paddock setup and the logistical challenges the teams were going to face, and the fact there could be no pit stops and the limited track time, and the fact that supercars was effectively relegated to being a fourth tier support category.
Well, that was sort of the talk of the town kind of on Thursday when we arrived was how awful is this?
Yep.
We're in this paddock out the back. There's no one here. F2's kind of in our pit lane.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
But they're not using our pit lanes.
Yeah, but they're not using the pit lane, and half the garages had nothing in them anyway.
Yeah.
But sort of by Saturday, Sunday, the racing kind of took over the fact that we were in these tents out the back kind of thing. No one cared about that so much anymore because the on-track activity was just so bonkers, really. Supercars went full F2, went full Super 2.
Yeah.
And 4 cracking races.
Absolutely.
No one cared about where the cars were parked anymore.
To be honest, I don't really think... At the end of the day, last year, the trucks were outside, on the outside of the circuit, not the inside anyway.
Yeah.
So that challenge was probably not much different to what it was last year.
And it's no different to Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Like it's not a challenge we haven't seen before.
Those tents they were using were massive.
Huge.
They were very comfortable for the teams. The
only awkward part was the kind of staring at each other. That was a bit odd.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. But I think that will probably change because they're going to have to come up with a solution that gets the fans back in. And I think from an operational point of view, you can't have cars funneling out sort of from both directions and have fans in that area. So. I think that's something that they will have to address because that really was, I think, the only actual issue on the weekend.
If they had have perhaps swapped where the F3s were for where the supercars were, and you kind of put the supercars that little bit further away from pit lane, but
doesn't matter.
Really cares?
They've got to go around the back anyway.
Correct.
So it makes no difference. They have to drive out on that escape road.
You could then open up the supercars paddock.
Yeah.
Easy enough to fans.
Yeah.
The Formula cars can kind of all go and hide in the corner if they want to.
Yeah.
Because I can understand why you also don't want people necessarily walking around F3 cars, particularly the way they kind of were when they weren't in the garage or in the tents, they were kind of just all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the last thing you want as a competitor
is
people walking around stepping on front wings and things like that. Yeah. So I can understand all of those issues.
Yeah.
But just with a slight rearrangement
you can make it work.
Supercars probably working a little more hand in hand with the AGP, rather than the political shed storm that I think that this event in particular was a bit of a crescendo to.
Yeah,
work together, Great event.
Yeah,
and you can't not be there.
No, you can't. 450,000 people through the gates, massive TV audience.
Yeah.
You just have to be there. The racing was good. The pit stops thing, no pit stops wouldn't work everywhere, but at a track like Albert Park, which is such a wide circuit, like these guys can actually pass there.
Yeah. They almost look like Aussie racing cars on that track.
Yeah. There are certain tracks where you just wouldn't pass. If there was no pit stops, there'd be very few options to pass.
I think the incentive's there too. When you don't have pit stops.
Yeah, that's right.
The incentive is there to actually have a crack.
Yeah.
And the boys did. Got their elbows out. It was good.
Yeah, but big wide track, opportunities to pass. The racing was really, really good. Like I say, I really think the crowds thing was the only thing. And probably for the teams in a way, not having crowds there was probably operationally quite good. But where it becomes an issue is you've got this huge opportunity to market your sport and your sponsors. So for teams, there were headaches getting corporate guests into the pits to do pit tours. That's such an important part of the sponsorship model of this sport, is being able to take people in the garage and let them touch and feel and look at a real racing car. It needs to be done.
And the one thing about the AGP, and it's always been the one thing about the AGP, is it's a bloody long way to get anywhere in that joint.
Yeah.
It's kind of on a scale that we just don't see anywhere else.
Yeah.
So if you have to, as a employee of a supercar team, need to go and pick up 10, 20 guests from the only access point to the paddock, man, you've got to factor that into your day, because it's a good sort of 10-minute walk. To the gate, collect everyone up, get them back again. It's a solid sort of 45 minutes out of your day to do up pit tour. It from a business perspective, it's bloody hard work for them.
Yeah, and there will always be challenges at the Grand Prix.
Absolutely.
Because it is not a supercars event. No. Supercars are not the main show,
Not.
So, but you can't walk away from that. And I think it really turned. Like I reckon, it felt like last week. The feeling was that I don't know if they're going to make. There's going to be another deal here, whereas there's definitely going to be another deal. I just can't see how you're not there. The AGPC wants supercars there. Supercars has to want to be there. The teams definitely want to be there, even with the logistical challenges.
Had we turned up and had 4 meh races, I think that would have built momentum too.
Yeah.
But we didn't. There was 4 really good races.
Yeah.
The boys got into it. It just makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
we'll go and change the tyre we're on or something silly next year, and there'll be 4
probably
bum races.
Won't be that good.
Yeah.
But,
and we will have just signed up to a 10-year deal or something stupid. But but the way that it played this weekend or last weekend, amazing.
Yeah, no, I think it was it was really good, and it's just such an amazing event. Like I say, just if you know what that event was pre-COVID, and you know it now, it's just
or 10, 15 years ago. Again, when supercars were out on the oval, anyway, all of the issues that we have now, were not issues back then either, kind of thing.
No.
Even in the Cochrane era, but you still turned up, because it was still the AGP, still the biggest motorsport event in town, for the year. Bathurst is great. Love Bathurst. We'll always go to Bathurst. But for just bums on seats and eyeballs on race cars, you cannot beat the AGP.
And just buzzing atmosphere. It's
Again, I'm sure plenty of people that are watching this were there, and they know it was a pretty epic event.
Pretty strong start to the season for Triple Eight, but finally you've got a race winner to produce.
Exactly.
The Bendix Camaro.
Of all the cars, it probably wasn't that one that we thought it might be. But
probably
that
not.
Team have done a spectacular job this year.
Crazy. Yeah.
They have been right up there.
Yeah.
Nick's got a new lease on life, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah. Obviously helped by, Chaz and Matt having that early
I was about to
incident.
say, just about every other one of our cars tried to run into each other at some point across the weekend too, which didn't help.
But it certainly didn't feel like a fluke either.
No.
He was right there ready to race the Triple Eight cars on, was it Thursday when he had, he got that penalty for running Chaz wide. But they are in the game. Like you say, Nick is just up and about.
Yeah.
Obviously there's no love lost between him and WAU, so I think he's really
going on there.
He's really enjoying I think
enjoying the niggle too, I think.
Yeah. I think he responds well to stuff like that, does Nick. But it just shows the importance of the right team environment. And that's nothing actually against Walkinshaws, because I think this move is a complete positive for everyone concerned. That
Yes.
relationship didn't work and had soured to a point where it was never going to work.
No.
Walkinshaws are better off for having a new driver in 2.
Yep.
Who I still think has massive potential and is going to do great things, Ryan Wood. And Nick's, it shows what the difference that sort of atmosphere in the team and that role within the team and being confident in the team does to a driver's actual on-track race pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Having been, I was at a Walkinshaw event on Thursday night, and Woody's just assimilated into that joint.
Yep.
Like, you would not believe that he was walking into his second race meeting in the main game with that team. And yeah, fair enough. He's had some time with the team in Super 2.
Yeah.
But no, just he appears to be gelling so well there.
Yeah.
That Chaz sort of was laughing because he was the most serious one in the whole joint. And if Chaz is the most serious one in the building, well, goodness me, there's something going on.
Yeah.
But obviously with Nick, the same. He's now just in that environment.
Yeah.
Where it's working for him.
Yeah.
And results are coming.
Yeah.
And I think results aren't too far away for Woody either.
No, that will definitely happen. I mean,
too.
Grand Prix was a little tough for him, but he's going to have ups and downs. He's a rookie, But
that's right.
We talk a lot about the things that you can teach a driver.
Yep.
And there's plenty of them, but you can't teach them just to be real fast.
Raw pace.
Yeah, that bit they can either do or they can't.
And we saw it with Matt Payne as well last year.
Yeah.
Sort of took him the season to kind of get into it, the odd really good result because he's sort of, got that raw pace, puts a win on the board by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And man, he's come out punching so far this year.
It's feeling a little
literally punchy.
Shane Van Gisbergen-esque with that guy, the way he's sort of building and just
he's there.
He's just
there or thereabouts.
He's clearly got the raw pace.
Yep.
Like he's got the pace to be an A grader.
Yep.
And once it all starts coming together, more often than not, he's just going to keep being there.
What was your take on the Payne Cam little altercation with them both in the wall?
Oh, okay. Firstly, it was awesome. Secondly,
not for the model car maker.
No.
Continue.
Secondly, well, you can't make one of the cars anyway. So
True.
Secondly, I think it was absolutely the right decision to not punish either of them because Cam started it and Matt finished it.
Yep.
In a way.
Whether Matt knew he was about to finish it or
not,
I'm not
right.
sure.
Well, he didn't, and he admitted that he didn't know Cam was there, and I think there's a lesson to be learnt there. But at the end of the day, Cam was only there because he'd run Matt wide already.
Correct.
And they're fighting for the race lead. And Matt's looking, he's got Brock on one side, and, it's very easy to do. He's trying to open the corner back up. He's wondering how much momentum he's lost. On those big, long corners, the loss of momentum is what absolutely kills you. So I think that it's forgivable that he was sort of trying to gather it up. You know, he probably should have looked across and went, "Oh, there's a car here. I've got to be careful about this." But
and for Cam, the throttle works two ways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but Cam,
particularly when you've run into the bloke,
if you're there, you're probably going to stay in it. You're going to stay in it. So I don't have a problem with anything Cam did either.
No,
really, right up to going up and having a chat with him, even though. I think
again, good theatre.
Yeah, I think you could make an argument that you go, well, I did run him wide, and then he came back on me. But
not going to remember that in the 10 seconds.
No,
as you're charging towards
and
the car.
Not? Let him go over there and have it's exactly what we need. Yeah. We need to be seeing it. We've been talking forever about how we need more of this stuff, and we've got some. So I think we should celebrate.
No, play it down. Play it down.
No, we should absolutely celebrate it. It's that was all part of just the great racing. Obviously, if you're a Ford fan, you're probably going to wish these blokes had stopped doing this. But
2 days in a row.
And I think the other thing to that we should cover off as well is that I haven't heard less parity talk since Adelaide 2022.
Yep.
At a race meeting.
Yeah, it was
really
good.
Like there was just no one saying it's completely gone away, but there was certainly, we know Bathurst is a bit of an anomaly. There was a lot of talk about that, and with the engine performance and stuff. But
and it will come up again prior to the 1000, well and truly, if nothing's done between now and then.
Absolutely, it will. But it was just really nice to be able to focus on the big topics like hats and things like that.
You and your bloody hat story. You have dragged that out now for 2 rounds. Let's see what happens at round 3.
There's no more marketing genius than finding a way to pay less for something and get way more exposure than you would have got if people had just worn the hat. What a home run for Boost Mobile! Like it's crazy. But yeah, it was actually really nice to just have a weekend where there didn't seem to be any question marks over whether you had to be in one type of car or the other to win the race. You could just go out there and win the race. Remembering that the Grand Prix, after Newcastle hadn't really exposed the weakness of the Mustang last year.
Yeah.
And we got to the Grand Prix and it was horrendously obvious that one car was faster than the other one. So it's a good test for that because you need good motor and you need good aero.
Yeah.
And it seemed pretty even there, which is a really good spot for us to be in, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And what about the Grand Prix? Max didn't win.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame he wasn't in the race, I think.
Yeah, would have been a good race.
I think it might have been a really good race, and it's not often you say that, but I think it was actually a bit of a, obviously great result, Yeah. Ferrari is always kind of special to Melbourne.
I had unfortunately flown home on Sunday morning, but a trip to Lygon Street on Sunday night would have been pretty epic.
Yeah, it would have been pretty wild. So, yeah, look, I think that it's a bit of a shame Max wasn't in the race, although that pressure might have exposed some of the weaknesses we see in Ferrari's strategy and that sort of stuff. And we may well have seen another Max win, which would have been obviously, a less kind of unique outcome. But it was pretty cool. Like the roar around the crowd when Carlos passed Max
in the first place,
and then when that thing started smoking was like insane. It was like someone kicking a goal after the siren in the grand final. It was like, it was a really cool atmosphere around the place, and old Carlos making a bit of a case for his CV, given the fact he's looking for a job next year.
Absolutely, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. But
I mean, I'm sure he has plenty of offers on the table.
Yeah,
it's just because nothing's kind of been locked away yet. Everyone's still saying, how has this bloke not got a job? I'm sure he's got a job.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But
he'll have a decent idea where he may well end up.
But it is crazy to think that the only bloke in the last 20 races or something that has beaten a Red Bull is the bloke that doesn't have a job.
I know. But yeah, look, it was an
appendix.
It was but it was a good outcome, and it kind of just capped off a great weekend. The weather was mint the whole time, like it was just a good weekend of motor racing.
Car racing. Yeah.
All right, it's time to have a look at some of your collections out there. Remember to email us at collections@authenticcollectables.com.au or share them with us on our socials with the hashtag #CollectAuthentic for your chance to appear on the show. And the best as picked by me wins a $250 gift card. It's the Authentic Collectible store. So let's have a run through our top three from this week. The first one is Scott Rapmond for his DJR collection.
It's pretty cool.
Have a look at this. That's
pretty cool.
That's a lot of DJR.
He's even got the rock.
I know.
He's even got the rock. Our half scale rock.
That's a cool one. That's a cool one. Yeah,
like that one.
That's an absolute beauty. Our second honourable mention is Wayne Muscat for his Carl Reindler diorama.
How good does this look?
I don't think I've made a diorama since about year 7.
No,
like this. That is an amazing concept to come up with.
Where were you? Because it's obviously the diorama of Carl Shunt here at Barbagallo, or Wanneroo Raceway. Mm-hmm. Where were you standing that day? Because you would have been here.
That's good. What year was it?
Oh no, you may not have been. You might have been in Germany.
What year was it?
Crikey.
I honestly can't remember.
12?
If it's 12, I wasn't here. I don't actually...
Oh, this is good content, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll look that up later. But it's certainly a memorable...
put it this way, I was standing in pit lane and I got sunburnt.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was
I can imagine.
Pretty scary spot to be standing at the time.
Sure was. And obviously prompted, significant changes to the design of cars and that sort of stuff to stop it happening again. But that's a massive effort from Wayne there, and is very cool.
Yes.
But the winner from episode 2, which we're announcing in episode 3, is Wayne Holden. I mean, he sort of should get it on his name alone, almost. But
he's being a bit of a trader too, because I can see some Fords in that.
Yeah,
collection.
I mean, it's an insane collection. Just the variety.
Yeah.
Plates, hats,
the whole
And
whole train wreck.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Not really just focusing on a team or a driver or a manufacturer. Just obviously just a keen supporter of the model car industry,
which I can thoroughly endorse.
We'll be in touch with you, Wayne, to sort out that gift card, and remember to get in touch with us on the details I mentioned before with your collections for next week.
Why don't we'll throw like a $50 gift card to the honourable mentions too, shall we?
So Wayne gets one, and Scott they get $50
yeah,
each.
$50 each.
Fair enough.
So yes, get your collections in, and we'll run through a few in each of these episodes.
All right, let's have a chat about the recent Authentic releases. Will, what do you have for us?
So we've gone back into championship winner mode this month. So we've released 3 of our championship winner prints. So our first one is our illustrated print of Brody.
Yep.
From where were we at the end of last year? Adelaide. Had to think about that. I was about to say Newcastle. That was going to be awkward. So yes, illustrated print done by Tristan here in house. So we've released that, and a couple of photographic prints as well. So one celebrating Erebus's team's championship win.
Yep.
And also Brody's success throughout the year. So we've released those. You can grab those on our website or at your nearest stockist. And the other thing we've released is Scott McLaughlin's Dex IndyCar from his inaugural season.
Right.
So it's his first race in his official capacity as an IndyCar driver.
So not the cameo he did at the end of 2020, was it?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So
but his first
opening
race
round,
in 2021.
Opening round 2021. So that little puppy up there, the little Dex car there. So again, grab that on our website or through one of your nearest stockists.
All right, it's time to answer some of your questions. Remember to leave them in the comments of the YouTube videos here, or you can email them to collections@authenticcollectables.com.au. Let's start with Troy.wm. He asks, do you have any plans to produce the HRT 1990 VL Group A Bathurst winner? A very iconic car, obviously, conquering all the Europeans.
Turbo rubbish that came over here.
Yeah.
Short answer, I'd love to. It's definitely an iconic car, and there's plenty of content there. But the issue is it's been done. So sort of we have this kind of theory in our business where we try to avoid kind of remaking things as much as we can, particularly when it's not just one version, there's 2 versions in the market. So from that point of view, it's a little pointless for us to invest, what would be a couple of $100,000 really into something that is already out there and it's already in the market. So I'd rather invest in something that hasn't been done than kind of repeat ourselves. That's not to say we won't do it at some point, but it's probably a fairly long way away before we'd even consider going down that path.
Fair enough. Lachlan Donahue 6624 asks, what's the process behind doing road cars such as the XD Falcon? Always wondered how you go about finding the perfect car to base the model off. How do you go about that?
So I think he's caught a whiff on our socials that we might be going down this path with XDXEs.
Right.
So effectively, the process is we try and find a good example. We'll 3D scan it, both inside, outside, underneath, everything we can do to get as much data as we can. Obviously, these older cars, there's no such thing as getting the data from the manufacturer. It didn't exist.
Yep.
So we've got to go and forge our own path there. So we 3D scan them, then scale that down to either 1/18th, 43rd, whatever scale we're aiming for.
Yep.
And then go and make some tooling for it. In terms of finding the good car, that's always, depends what we're looking for and what we're trying to achieve. So, race car land tends to be, we need the original or as close to an original. If we were doing a HRT car, for example, versus a Perkins car or something like that, if we were in the Holden stable, we'd be wanting to find a HRT car if we were going to go down that path, or a Perkins car if we were going down that path.
Yep.
Not necessarily the car, but at least a Perkins built car, of which there's plenty around. XDXE, we'll have to go to Bowden's, I would have thought, to find a DJ car.
Yep.
And things like that. But road car land, it's just finding one that's sort of unbastardized, really, and as original as we can get.
So do you go through car clubs, or what's the sort of...
Yeah, normally car clubs or even just kind of at a car show or something, we'll doorstop someone and say, hey, would you mind?
Facebook Marketplace?
Not quite.
XD Falcons
not quite that far. Not quite that far, although we have thought about it in the past.
Yeah.
Probably less inclined to find a nice, original, unbastardized one on a Facebook Marketplace, but
maybe
might be a little bit ratty by that stage. But yeah, sort of we'll do anything we can, really.
Yeah.
In some cases, it's people have contacted us and said, I've got this. Or we'll go and visit someone to scan something and it's like, hang on a minute, look at everything else you've got here.
Yeah.
And sort of take the opportunity to kind of bank a few things for a later date.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'd like to make everything tomorrow.
Yes.
But it's just not, as I say, when you're investing a couple of $100,000 into a tool.
Taking the time to find the right car to base it off.
Is important.
Yeah.
And then also having it fit in the plan of investment is also another thing. So got to kind of take our time and spread it out a little bit.
So what you're saying is you're not made of $200,000.
Unfortunately, I'm not.
That's right.
It would be nice. It would be nice. If what's that saying? If I win lotto, I won't tell anyone, but there'll be signs.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Wayne Peters 1969 asks, what drives the choice of scales for collectibles? Why is it 118, 112, 143, and 164, but not, for example, 124?
So that's a really good question. Effectively, it's a bit of a historic sort of thing in our industry in this country. So 1/18 scale just became the sort of the number one scale in Australia and in Europe, to be fair. And 1/24 scale is more a US thing. It's a bit like your imperial and your metric, or your the yards and meters and all of those sorts of like it's just one of those things where the US like to do things differently to the rest of the world. But definitely, 24th, there's an opportunity. It's you kind of get the same level of detail as an 18th, but just that little bit smaller. Whereas when you go down to a 43rd, you lose detail. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just too small. So definitely there's kind of that slot to fill, but at the same time, there's still plenty of cars that haven't been made in 18th either. So, it's one of those things.
Just how it is.
Yeah, that's right. And there's 1/8. We've got those 1/8 F1 cars up there too, but we don't make anything in 1/8. Like it's one of those things where sometimes, why don't we do 1/19 scale? Like we kind of fall into the industry standard kind of lines, and you just follow the path.
Makes sense. Well, thank you for tuning in to the third episode of Role Models. Get in touch with us. Let us know if there's a specific topic that you'd like us to discuss in the next episode in a few weeks' time. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to the Authentic Collectables YouTube channel. Click that little bell so you get notified every time a new episode drops. And we'll be back soon with another episode of Role Models.
Thanks, guys.